John Muir, the Whitewater scandal, and the Spanish Armada are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is May 28th. It is the 148th day of the year. There are 217 days left. It is the 22nd Wednesday in the 22nd week and the 70th day of spring. We got less than a month till summer, 23 days. If today's your birthday, your birthstone is an emerald. Today is World Otter Day here in the United States. Yes, we worship otters and otter pops and the character from Animal House named Otter. No, I think it's just the animal, but still, otter pops were pretty cool. They still make them. And they have some new characters I just learned. You know, we all grew up on Alexander the Grape, Louis Blue Raspberry, Sir Isaac Lime, Strawberry Shortcook, Little Orphan Orange. But in recent years, they came out with a couple new ones. Cosmic Coconut, which is this astronaut type thing. Poncho Punch, which is, as far as I could tell, a Mexican guy or Mexican otter with a sombrero or hat and a guitar. And of course, the latest otter is Major Mango. There you go, useless trivia, check. All right, let's see what else May 28th has given us. 1588, the Spanish Armada with 130 ships and 30,000 men set sail from Lisbon, Portugal, heading for the English Channel. It's such a big armada that it takes 3 days for all the ships to leave port. The entire armada is finally at sea on May 30th. 1644, the English Civil War. Bolton Massacre by Royalist troops under the command of James Stanley, the 7th Earl of Derby. Yes, they had a massacre. 1830, U.S. President Andrew Jackson signs the Indian Removal Act, which denies Native Americans their land rights and forcibly relocates them. Yes, this is another black eye in American history. Not our finest work. 1892, in San Francisco, John Muir organizes the Sierra Club. Now, the Sierra Club is all nice and everything and wants to save the environment, and I'm on board with that. That's my thing. But John Muir was one of the most interesting people I think I know about in California history. If you ever get a chance, look him up. Just the freedom to be in Yosemite Valley when no one else was around there. Few people came to visit occasionally, but he would just take off and go wander around Yosemite Valley for weeks at a time. And if you've never been to Yosemite, you probably don't know how beautiful that place is. I know with all the bad press California gets, you wouldn't imagine there's just some beautiful spots there, but there is. 1987, an 18-year-old West German pilot, Matthias Rust, evades Soviet Union air defenses and lands a private plane in Red Square in Moscow. You know some heads rolled for that one. He led a plane all the way to Red Square, didn't pick up on him. June 1996, convictions in the Whitewater scandal. The Clinton connection gets complicated. In 1996, a major chapter closed in the long-simmering political and legal drama known as the Whitewater scandal, when 3 key figures, Jim McDougal, Susan McDougal, and Arkansas Governor Jim Guy Tucker, were convicted of fraud. This wasn't just some run-of-the-mill real estate case. It involved shady business deals, political backroom connections, and plenty of courtroom drama that reached right up to the Clinton White House. The saga began back in the late 1970s and early 80s, when Bill and Hillary Clinton partnered with Jim and Susan McDougal to invest in a failed Arkansas real estate venture called Whitewater Development Corporation. While the Clintons weren't convicted of any wrongdoing, the financial mess from the venture sparked years of investigations that would haunt the Clintons' presidency, helped by his political enemies and the eager media. By the mid-90s, independent counsel Ken Starr, yes, the same guy who would later go on to dig into the Monica Lewinsky and other Clinton-related scandals, was knee-deep into looking for anything that stuck. In 1996, his team struck gold, or at least something close to it, when a jury found Jim McDougal and his ex-wife Susan McDougal and Governor Jim Guy Tucker guilty of fraud and conspiracy for using fraudulent loans to prop up failed businesses. Jim McDougal had owned a savings and loans that collapsed, costing taxpayers millions. An investigation traced the web of questionable transactions that involved phony financial statements, shell companies, and misused funds. Tucker, Clinton's successor as governor of Arkansas, was convicted of falsely obtaining a $300,000 loan. He resigned just days after the verdict, further fueling the narrative that corruption had seeped into the highest levels of the Arkansas politics. Susan McDougal, perhaps the most defiant of the group, would later go to jail, not for fraud or conviction, but for contempt of court, refusing to testify against the Clintons during the Starr investigation. She maintained that the case was politically motivated and that testifying would force her to lie under pressure from prosecutors. Though the Clintons were never charged with any crimes in the Whitewater affair, the conviction in 1996 added layers of suspicion, controversy, and political damage that would follow them for years. In hindsight, Whitewater may have just started off as a failed land deal, but it evolved into the seabed of the Clinton-era scandal machine. Movies released on May 28th, 2014, we got Edge of Tomorrow. This was a Tom Cruise movie. It was pretty good. It also had Emily Blunt, and I think this was pretty close to one of Bill Paxton's last movie before he passed away 3 years later. I think he was like in 6 other movies after that, but this is the last one I remember him being in. But the plot is, Earth is under an alien attack. Major William Cage, Tom Cruise, must enter a battle in a time loop where he continuously is killed and then reawakened to go directly back into battle. As his skills improve, he and a fellow soldier get closer and closer to defeating their enemy. Pretty good movie. It's on cable nowadays if you get a chance, probably on Netflix or something. Give it a watch. Born on May 28th, Patch Adams, American physician and author and founder of the Gesundheit Institute. He was portrayed by Robin Williams in the movie Patch Adams. A lot of people think that was one of Robin Williams' best movies. Died on May 28th, 2010, we lost Gary Coleman. Everyone remembers him. Remember what you talking about, Willis? He was a child star on Different Strokes from 1978 to 1986. Sadly, he quit getting movie roles and kind of fell on some really hard times. I remember a video of him. He was working as a security guard and people kept giving him crap every time they saw him, and it must have been frustrating for him. He wasn't in the best health. In 2009, he underwent heart surgery. In January of 2010, he was hospitalized after having seizures. Had another one in February. Then he was admitted into the hospital in May in critical condition after falling down a flight of stairs at his home and hitting his head, possibly having another seizure. He was on life support and he died on May 28th. He was only 42 years old. All right, that's today's video. Don't forget to give it a like or a big thumbs up, whatever you want to call it. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.